Hello and welcome to Old Lang Schmooze, the Edinburgh Jewish Cultural Centre podcast. I'm Ella.
And I'm David.
So we're nearing the end of January 2024, and the weather has not been great.
So we need something to cheer us up, and what better than a birthday celebration?
Agreed, but not either of our birthdays. It's the 25th of January, Burns Night.
The poet Robert Burns' birthday, celebrated in Scotland and in places round the world with a Burns supper.
Here in Edinburgh, the Jewish community are having their very own Burns supper.
When did you first hear about Robert Burns, Ella?
Well, I first heard about Robert Burns when I came to Scotland for uni about 5 years ago now. I didn't know anything about him growing up in a small suburb of Chicago, but ever since I made landing in the land of Scots, I've been celebrating him every year since.
Robert Burns, or Rabbi Burns as he's often called, is Scotland's national poet. As a poet, lyricist, observer of the common man, the high hegions, nature and romance, Burns' humour and humanity has touched people of all faiths and cultures throughout the world.
So, who was he besides a lyricist, poet, and observer of the common man?
My name is Frankie. I grew up in Scotland, and what I know about Burns Night is that it is on the 25th of January, because that is the day when Robert Burns was born, and he was born in Alloway, near Ayr. He grew up poor on a farm, and they think his harsh early lifestyle could be one of the reasons why he died so young, at age only 37.
Hi, my name is Lyra, and I grew up in Glasgow, so I do not remember when I learned about Rabbi Burns, but probably very young. We've been sitting around for dinner every Burns night, eating haggis, neeps and tatties for as long as I can remember, and going to Burns Cayleys as well.
Hard physical labour on the family farm took its toll on the young Burns, and he turned his attention to poetry, nature, drink and woman, which would characterise the rest of his life.
So he began writing his own poetry and songs?
Yes, at just 27, his first book of poems was published, and he became famous across the country. He was known as the ploughman poet, and he enjoyed his fame and fortune, and enjoyed performing his poems and songs far and wide. And he enjoyed a drink with good company.
Now let's talk about the supper. It's a meal with songs and poems.
For dinner on Burns Night, we eat haggis, neeps and tatties. Neeps are just turnips. And for dessert, always have cranachan, which is raspberries and porridge and whiskey, which is a very good dessert.
I associate Burns Night with hanging out with my friends and just having a nice dinner, and it was a time to get together and just see each other and be happy.
I quite like it. I know it's to celebrate Robert Burns himself, but I feel like it's really just an excuse for a bit of food and a pint like Thanksgiving, really.
So Ella, have you ever had a haggis?
I've not had the real kind, but I am partial to a veggie haggis now and then.
Traditionally, haggis is a savoury pudding containing sheep's heart, liver and lungs, mixed with oatmeal and spices, and it's wrapped and cooked in a sheep's stomach. But nowadays, of course, there are many variations of haggis, including vegetarian and vegan haggis, which might include lentils and different vegetables and herbs and spices. And of course, at the Jewish Burns Supper, we have a completely kosher vegetarian haggis, made by Scotland's only kosher deli, Mark's Deli in Glasgow. And Mark's haggis has been sent all over the world.
Wow, a worldwide kosher haggis. So this haggis thing is a big deal?
You bet. On the night it's piped in and one of the guests makes a special speech to the haggis. Burns suppers normally follow a traditional running order, but people can also add their own variations and extra things into the running order. At the Jewish community Burns supper, there will be the usual traditional toasts and speeches, and a few extra things that bring in a bit of Jewish and Yiddish culture. And here to say a little bit more about that are three people that will be taking part: Fiona Brodie, Howard Brodie, and Rabbi Mark Solomon.
My contribution will be to read a poem by someone called Avram Greenbaum, and it's called Address to the Fress. It's in place of the Address to the Haggis by Rabbi Burns, and it's very much based on Rabbi Burns's poem. And I guess at the end of it, though, rather than having a toast to the whole fress, I will invite people to toast the haggis in particular.
I've been asked to say the Selkirk Grace by Robert Burns. And also I shall be singing three Burns songs. One is Coming Through the Rye. One is Charlie Is My Darling. And the other one is Ye Jacobites by Name. Ye Jacobites by name, lend an ear, lend an ear. Ye Jacobites by name, lend an ear. Ye Jacobites by name, your thoughts I will proclaim. Your doctrines I'm on blame. Ye shall hear, your doctrines I'm on blame. Ye shall hear.
Well, I'm looking forward to singing a few Burns songs. This time, for the first time, I'll be sharing that with a couple of other people who are singing some songs as well. But I'll be doing some of my favourites. A Man's a Man for All That, Rantin Rovin Robin, which has a great melody. E Banks and Brays, I think, might be on that list. And then there's a couple that I can do in Yiddish. Most notably, My Love's Like a Red, Red Rose. Mein Liebe is a Reuter Rose, I think it goes. And that always goes down well when people hear it in Yiddish. Then there's that little song that deals a while with excisemen, which Burns wrote satirically about his own role as an exciseman. And a few years ago, I attempted to translate that into Yiddish with a lot of help from Heather Valencia. So I might be doing that one in Yiddish as well.
The deer come fiddling through the tune and dance the war with exciseman, and ilk a white red owl mahone, I wish you luck at the prize, man. The deal's a war, the deal's a war, the deal's a war with exciseman. He danced the war, he's danced the war, he's danced the war with exciseman.
I love his sense of humour on the one hand, but I also love his profound commitment to humanity, to the concept of human worth and dignity and a sort of equality. Of course, that comes out most strongly of all in A Man's a Man for All That, which is one of the great anthems to human dignity and equality. So that's always a treat to sing. And there's also the sentimental side that you get in Ye Banks and Brays, the love songs with lots of pain, lots of parting.
And Ella, I believe that you are singing one of Burns' most famous songs.
Indeed I am. I'll be singing A Fond Kiss. A fond kiss, and then we sever. A farewell, and then forever. Deep in heart-wrung tears, I'll pledge thee. Warring signs and groans, I'll wage thee. Who shall say that fortune grieves him, while the star of hope she leaves him? Mean a cheerful twinkle lights me. Dark despair around benights me.
You have been listening to Old Land Schmooze, the Edinburgh Jewish Cultural Centre podcast. The podcast was presented by
Ella Lambert,
and David Ian Neville,
with original music by Phil Alexander. If you want to sign up to the Cultural Centre's newsletter and keep up with events online and live, you can go to our website at www.jcc.scot.